the smell of burning rubber on asphalt, the rumbling shockwave of a sonic boom. It's smoke in the sky and fire on the ground. Wherever the fast and furious meet, you'll find a speed machine. We'll show you the fastest vehicles on Earth, unlock the secrets to their power, and reveal what makes these the ultimate 10 speed machines. Speed is the distance traveled by an object divided by time. When time and distance appear to blur together, you have insane velocity. For some, speed is simply a matter of bragging rights. For others, it is a means of showcasing an untapped power. Speed can save lives, and it can take them away. It can titillate and fascinate, but one thing speed will never do is bore. Starting our countdown at number 10, Two-Wheeled Thunder. In fifth gear, it climbs to a sizzling 190 miles per hour. But for those who worship at the altar of speed, there is a sixth.
You figure this thing should stop accelerating at some point, but it just keeps going and going and going.
It is named after a Japanese falcon that dives on its prey at a ferocious 186 miles per hour. That speed, however, is only good enough for a place in the Suzuki Hayabusa's rearview mirror.
I won't admit I've broken the law on the Hayabusa, but it is a very fast motorcycle, and the sensation of acceleration and speed on this thing is absolutely unmatched. It feels like a freight train.
A runaway freight train, that is. Speed for its own sake, the Hayabusa is capable of going in excess of 190 miles per hour. For a consumer, a super-fast Ferrari is about the only way to beat it. The Hayabusa gets its power from a liquid-cooled 1300cc engine with digital fuel injection. The four-cylinder bike also includes a sleekly designed ram air induction system.
This is simply open snorkels at the front of the motorcycle that emit high-pressure air from the front, put it into the engine, and it adds 10 to 15 horsepower at the very, very top speed.
While the Hayabusa's engine provides explosive acceleration, the bike's design is also crucial to its blazing speed.
Well, aerodynamics really are the key to this motorcycle, achieving the top speed that it's capable of doing.
From its vertically stacked headlights, ultra-smooth fenders, to the cutouts in the gas tank for riders' knees, every facet of the Hayabusa has been designed for aerodynamic efficiency.
The amazing thing about the Hayabusa is it really represents Suzuki's single-minded engineering. Had one goal: to be the fastest motorcycle on the planet. Virtually every aspect of this motorcycle's design was tailored to meeting that goal.
For decades, three venerable Japanese motorcycle companies have battled each other to build the fastest bike on Earth. In the 1980s, the simmering battle erupted full throttle. The first shot was fired in 1987 when Honda unveiled the CBR 1000 Hurricane, a bike capable of topping 160 miles per hour.
Kawasaki returned the favor a few years later with the ZX-11. This motorcycle went up to 170 miles an hour, really got a lot of people's attention.
Playing a game of can you top this, the speed war steadily escalated until 1999, when Suzuki stepped into the breach and threw down the gauntlet.
Suzuki dropped the Hayabusa into this war like an atom bomb, immediately going to 189 miles an hour and just blowing the competition completely away.
Able to accelerate from 0 to 60 in less than 3 seconds, the Hayabusa is not for the uninitiated. At 190 miles per hour, a single mistake could mean instant death.
People who get on it who don't appreciate what this motorcycle can do and really give it the respect it deserves can get into trouble.
Concerned that too many beginners were straddling ultra-fast bikes, the motorcycle companies decided to call a truce in 2000.
All through this speed war, there are grumbles from the sidelines that maybe these motorcycles are getting too fast, maybe they're too dangerous because of the speed potential. So today, by agreement, these motorcycles are limited to 300 kilometers per hour or 186 miles an hour.
The cap on speed means the Hayabusa will likely remain the two-wheeled king of the road for a long time to come. For its aerodynamic design that leaves other motorcycles sucking wind, the Hayabusa earns the number 10 spot on our list. If you think these rolling behemoths can't be speed machines, well, think again. At number 9, a vehicle that redefines Blitzkrieg. Today's tanks combine brawn with brains. But despite their powerful 1-2 punch, they remain the tortoises of the battlefield. Today, a new breed of machine is shedding its heavy shell, and its slowpoke image along with it. Capable of reaching speeds of more than 65 miles per hour, the British Scorpion S2000 Peacekeeper is the fastest tank in the world.
They basically doubled the top speed for tanks when they came out with the Scorpion. It would be like if we all woke up tomorrow and found out that the speed limit on the highways had doubled.
Armed with a 76mm cannon and a sophisticated night vision sighting system, the Scorpion can deliver a nasty sting. But engaging the enemy is not the tank's forte. Designed in the 1960s as a scouting vehicle, the Scorpion's strength, as demonstrated during the Persian Gulf War, is lightning-fast reconnaissance missions.
It can fire around and it'll be gone before somebody can detect where it has been.
The Scorpion's elusive speed comes from a 3.2-liter turbocharged engine that produces 202 horsepower, about the same as a mid-size American SUV. For maneuverability, the Scorpion relies upon a track with rubber pad inserts that can be individually replaced, a unique feature for a tank of this class. But the biggest factor contributing to the Scorpion's speed is its featherweight mass. The Scorpion, constructed of a lightweight aluminum alloy instead of steel, weighs only 18,000 pounds. That's 1/7 the weight of America's Abrams tank. Although the aluminum body makes the Scorpion agile, initially there were chinks in the armor.
Certainly something that won't penetrate a steel fighting vehicle will definitely penetrate an aluminium armored fighting vehicle.
To counter the problem, engineers covered the Scorpion's aluminum in a special ceramic armor that causes bullets to shatter on impact. Still, the Scorpion's greatest defense is its ability to outrun anything on the battlefield. For its 2002 run at a world speed record, the Scorpion had to overcome adversity of a different kind. At the Ministry of Defense test track at Chertsey, England, the Scorpion would only have 546 yards of straightaway to attempt the record. But the Scorpion was more than up to the challenge. On March 26, 2002, the S2000 Peacekeeper rocketed across the kinetic test track, reaching an average speed of 51 miles per hour, a Guinness World Record. For turning the battlefield into its own personal speedway, the Scorpion lands at number 9. It's been said that you can't capture lightning in a bottle. Well, whoever said it has never seen anything like this. At number 8 on our countdown, a rolling electrical storm. Called the White Lightning, This electrical car is 300,000 watts of surging power, a glistening ivory bullet, streamlined for speed. Propelled by 2 electric motors, the White Lightning is capable of speeds approaching 250 miles per hour, fast enough to leave a Lamborghini in the dust.
You glance down at the speedometer, and it's just jumping in leaps and bounds. I mean, every time you glance down, you're 25, 30 miles an hour faster.
But before the White Lightning streaked across the salt flats of Utah, it was a figment of Ed Dempsey's imagination. A retired expert in the field of electronics, Dempsey wanted to promote the environmental virtues of electric cars and destroy the vehicle's snail image by setting a speed record in the process.
Battery cars, I thought, were getting a bum rap. And frankly, I wanted to show the world that you could build an electric car that was fast and fun.
Dempsey's goal would prove to be a tall order.
There are 3 fundamental challenges that an electric vehicle faces. 1 is to keep the vehicle light. 2, to make sure that there's enough power in the vehicle to drive the engine. And finally, to make sure that the components for the motors are as efficient and lightweight as possible.
Purchasing customized rubber tires and a carbon fiber body for the White Lightning was simple. Creating the massive energy necessary to power it wasn't as easy. To reach triple-digit speed, the White Lightning uses 6040 nickel metal hydride batteries. The special batteries can be stacked vertically like those found in a flashlight, but have the advantage of being able to generate tremendous energy without melting down. To fully harness the battery's potential, Dempsey turned to a technology called 400 Hz power. A converter changes the battery's direct current to alternating current, almost 7 times the frequency of standard house current.
The difference is that the motors that run on the 400 hertz power turn a lot faster, and consequently, you can reduce the weight of the motor.
1, 2, 3.
To pilot the White Lightning, Dempsey selected a man whose will and determination matched his own. Pat Rummerfeld was a 45-year-old recovering quadriplegic still on the mend from a terrible auto accident.
I never thought I was going to be able to do anything after my accident, but by the grace of God, I got a second chance.
Rummerfeld, who is said to be the only quadriplegic to ever fully recover the use of his limbs, would make the most of his opportunity. On the morning of October 22, 1999, under a crystal blue Utah sky, Rummerfeld unleashed the White Lightning. Streaking across the salt flats, Rummerfeld drove the White Lightning to an average speed of 245 miles per hour, the fastest time ever clocked by an electrical car.
Oh, it was a great feeling. It was just tremendous. I was happy for Pat. I was happy for us. It was a tough struggle to get there, but in the end, it proved worth the effort.
For its electrifying run into the record books, the White Lightning takes the number 8 spot on our list. Coming up, a whirling dervish in the sky and an e-ticket ride into the adrenaline zone. We're back to our countdown of the Ultimate 10 speed machines. Coming in at number 7, Supersonic Blades of Destruction. The Blackhawk, the Apache. They are aerial assault machines that can lay waste to a battlefield in seconds. But while American military helicopters may have cornered the market on cool-sounding names, none is as blindingly fast as the British G-Lynx. A whirling vortex of blades that approach the speed of sound, the G-Lynx is capable of going 249 miles per hour, making it the fastest helicopter in the world. 65 miles per hour faster than America's Apache, the G-Lynx earned the speed title in 1986 when it soared over the blustery skies of Somerset, England. For its record-breaking run, the G-Lynx would undergo a slight makeover.
The engines were modified so that their exhausts were pointing directly aft, so we could use that last little ounce of power to help in the actual speed record. The tail stabilizer was modified and increased to cope with the increased speed that we were doing.
On August 11, 1986, the G-Lynx was ready for its close-up. Over the skies of Yeovil, the G-Lynx had a mind-blowing speed of 249 miles per hour, shattering the world record for a helicopter. While the record is prestigious, Speedy Lynx helicopters serve a more important function for pilots in combat or rescue situations.
If you're going out to pick up somebody from the sea, the quicker that you can get there, the better. If you're doing some sort of tactical support, carrying troops into a landing site, the quicker that you can get there and keep out of danger, the better.
The G-Lynx's hurricane-like velocity is largely the result of two T800 turboshaft engines that produce up to 2,700 horsepower. But the real secret to the helicopter's speed lies in its revolutionary British experimental rotor program, or BURP rotor blades. A rotor blade traveling at supersonic speeds generates a shockwave that can affect its stability.
You're getting close to sonic penetration on the tip of the rotor, which leads to all sorts of difficulty with the vibration, huge increases in stress.
Because the airspeed is different on the advancing and retreating sides of the rotor, BURP engineers had to design an airfoil that would perform equally well at different speeds without stalling. By varying the sweep, they managed to achieve the best of both worlds.
We've modified them so that the different parts of the blade are specially suited for that particular task. The outer part of the blade, the tip, you'll see is swept back because that part of the blade is getting very close to sonic speeds.
The advantage of speed has made Lynx technology a much sought-after commodity. G-Lynx's offspring are currently in operation around the world, including this submarine-destroying Super Lynx. For whipping up a vortex of speed no other helicopter can match, the G-Lynx takes the number 7 spot on our countdown. Coming in at number 6, an injection of high-speed adrenaline. There is no foreplay, no slow ascending buildup, no caressing of curves. Shooting skyward like a bat out of hell, Dodonpa is a 107 mile per hour instant climax. In 2001, at the Fujikyu Highland Amusement Park in Japan, Dodonpa was not about to take its time. Like greased lightning, it shot from 0 to 107 miles per hour in a teeth-rattling 1.8 seconds. Easily the fastest time ever clocked by a roller coaster. By rocketing to triple-digit speed in less than 2 seconds, riders are subjected to an incredible force of 3.5 Gs. That means a man weighing 175 pounds will suddenly feel like he weighs more than 600.
You know, military pilots pass out after 4 or 5 Gs, so civilians, half that is probably the top. But we haven't reached it yet. We're getting close, though.
Racing around a sprawling 3,900-foot track, the Dodonpa is the brainchild of designer Stan Checketts, a man who's courted speed nearly his entire life.
I've always had that desire I love to thrill people.
Checketts' obsession with speed first surfaced with rides like Space Shot, located atop the Stratosphere Tower in Las Vegas. The ride delivers spine-tingling chills through thrust air, a pneumatic technology he pioneered. Unlike most amusement park rides, which use the pull of gravity to provide thrills, thrust technology uses compressed air to launch riders at mind-bending speeds.
This Compressed air technology is a lot similar to shooting a gun. They're throwing you out like the speed of a bullet.
For ammunition, Dodonpa loads up from 3 800-horsepower compressed air storage tanks that are 39 feet long and 7 feet wide. Combined, the tanks are capable of generating enough energy to power a community of 10,000 homes. Once released, Dodonpa's compressed air explodes through a 16-inch wide cylinder. At the end of the tube is a piston that launches a pull cart connected to Dodonpa's coaster cars. But before it unleashes its gale force, riders are first seated and weighed by a computer so accurate it can almost tell what you had for dinner.
The computer's giving a slightly different amount of compressed air to the engine each time, depending on the weight of the passengers. They have to weigh it exactly right so that they get the top speed the same every time.
With amazing precision, Dodonpa catapults riders up a 171-foot incline.
We built a lot of rides and broke records before, but to be able to break a world's record and know that it was listed in the Guinness Book of World Records, there's a lot of satisfaction with that.
For thrusting past the competition, Dodonpa shoots to the number 6 spot on our countdown. Up next, a wickedly fast bird of prey and a race against the sands of time.
Deep into the transonic speed zone where nobody had ever been before.
Whether it's excitement or just relaxation you're after, there's an ideal holiday for everyone when Britain's travel guru matches real people with the perfect getaway. Tonight at 8. Rock and dance to an alternative music force. Feel the ongoing frenzy of the Korean wave. Samsung Digital Special, Pops and Soul. Every Thursday evening at 6:25. Every man holds the power to defy the odds against truth and justice. To build dreams and destinies.
You might even transform the world.
To guard and save lives. August on World.
Welcome back. We're halfway through the ultimate 10 speed machines. At number 5 on our countdown, a phantom menace prowling the blue sky. As elusive as a shadow, it is a hypersonic legend. It is a fierce machine that climbs so high with such blinding speed, only a fictional superhero can enter its realm.
If you shot a bullet at the same time that the airplane would go by, the airplane would reach that point in space faster than the bullet.
Possessing immortal power, the SR-71 Blackbird is the fastest airplane ever built. And on July 28, 1976, Captain Eldon Jors and Major George T. Morgan would prove it to the world.
It was a 15 to 25 kilometer straight course. You had to fly through the course, turn around, and fly through it the opposite direction. They would average the two speeds, and that was the record.
Flying over a 155-mile course near Beale Air Force Base in California, the duo averaged a scintillating hypersonic speed of 2,193 miles per hour, a world record that still stands today. Constructed under a veil of secrecy during the Cold War, the SR-71 Blackbird flew its first mission on December 23, 1964. Hailed as the ultimate spy plane, its primary purpose was to keep a close eye on the Soviet Union.
The only way to live was to outrun any threat that the Soviets could put up.
Climbing into the sky, the Blackbird is capable of spying from 15 miles above the Earth.
It's high enough to see a clear curvature of the Earth. The sky is generally very dark blue or black. It's a pretty hostile environment.
Streaking through the ozone layer, the SR-71 can survey thousands of miles of enemy territory in less than an hour, an ability that kept the Blackbird in service from the Cold War until its retirement in the late 1990s. Powered by two gargantuan 6,000-pound turbojet engines, the Blackbird is capable of reaching a blistering 2,200 miles per hour. That's Mach 3, or 3 times the speed of sound.
Mach 3 speeds are extremely fast, 6 times the speed of an ordinary jet. It's what we call hypersonic speed.
To reach Mach 3, the engines churn out a combined 65,000 pounds of thrust. Remarkably, 80% of this thrust is a result of compressed air being funneled through the engine. A unique inlet system captures the supersonic shockwave that comes off the bow of the plane. All told, the Blackbird produces enough thrust to power an ocean liner.
The SR-71's engines are so powerful that if you put them in a normal airplane and turn them on at full thrust, the airplane would melt.
To get around the problem of extreme heating, engineers made the Blackbird's airframe from mostly titanium. They also covered the frame in a special heat-emitting black paint. To cope with the extreme altitudes and speeds, pilots wore full-pressure suits. But for many, flying the SR-71 was more of a mental challenge than a physical one.
You have to keep about 200 miles ahead of the airplane in case you have a problem and have to land at some base other than what your planned base was.
But the Blackbird was much more of a problem for its adversaries than its pilots.
The Blackbird was and remains the ultimate speed machine. No other operational aircraft has flown as high and as fast as the SR-71, and it may well be that no aircraft ever does again.
For its ability to outrun any threat in the sky, the SR-71 Blackbird jets to number 5 on our list. What do steel wheels and tracks have to do with this machine? Nothing. At number 4 on our countdown, an elevation in speed. They are the futuristic offspring of the Iron Horse, lightning-fast trains that ride on a cushion of air. At its top recorded speed of 343 miles per hour, a maglev train could scorch a trail from Los Angeles to San Francisco in an hour and 10 minutes. Riding a wave of electromagnetic currents, maglev trains are not only promising to reinvent the wheel, but to make it altogether obsolete. But before maglevs can take over the tracks, they'll have to outperform a train so fast it's compared to a bullet. In Japan and throughout Europe, bullet trains have dominated the landscape for more than 30 years. With average speeds of more than 160 miles per hour, these trains have proven a popular alternative to the congested streets of Tokyo and Berlin. But despite their ultra-modern looks, bullet trains rely on old-fashioned steel wheels on steel tracks, a grading system that is enormously expensive to maintain.
Bullet trains are 2 or 3 times faster than a normal train, but they wear out maybe 10 or 20 times faster because the friction is so hard on the tracks and the wheels.
Sparked by the 19th century discovery that magnets can levitate, the idea of a frictionless train first came about in the late 1800s. But it wasn't until 1970 that bullet train engineers in Japan and Germany began developing an alternative to their costly machines. Able to literally cruise above the tracks, maglevs make their rail-bound cousins seem like antiquated steam engines.
Maglev trains fly. They don't touch the ground. If you don't have any wheels touching the ground, you don't have any rolling resistance, you don't have any friction.
But because it never touches the rails, engineers had to devise a way to keep the train on track. In Germany, they designed a frame that would lock around a T-shaped aluminum guideway. The support magnets, powered by batteries in the train, lift the vehicle's cars 6 inches above the rail. Guidance magnets on the sides of the train keep it centered laterally on the track. The maglev doesn't have a motor in the traditional sense.
Normally when you run electricity in an electric motor, you get a spinning motion. We simply unwind those components and place them lengthwise underneath the guideway.
The propulsion system pulls the maglev along like a surfboard on a wave of magnetism.
I've had a chance to ride it at 260 miles an hour, and you really would have no idea you're going that fast until you look out the windows.
After decades of testing and billions of dollars spent on fine-tuning, Germany and Japan are ready to make maglev trains available to the paying public. Germany will go first, unveiling the world's first commercial maglev train in Shanghai, China. For floating into the future of transportation, the maglev train glides onto our list at number 4. Up next, a speeding monster lowers the boom and journey to the ultimate proving ground for speed. Welcome back to the ultimate 10 speed machines. Up next is a machine that not only looks out of this world, but can actually go there. At number 3 on our countdown, a vapor trail into space.
And now I have the privilege of pressing the button which will bring out the question.
Its average mission lasted less than 11 minutes, but that was enough time for the X-15 to blast to the edge of space and back. A searing vision of velocity, the X-15 is not only the fastest rocket plane of all time, but a pioneering trailblazer to boot.
The X-15 was a research program, and it was designed as a research airplane to push the outer limits both of speed and of altitude in the days before we could really put aircraft in orbit.
With a name that sounds like it was ripped from the pages of a spy novel, the X-15 acted like a double agent for NASA and the military in the 50s. Constructed of titanium, the 50-foot-long rocket plane allowed the Air Force to test experimental engines under hypersonic speed conditions. At the same time, NASA was able to measure the psychological and physical effects extreme altitudes would have on future astronauts. Capable of climbing 67 miles to the brim of space, 6 X-15 pilots actually qualified as astronauts during research missions.
The only reason we didn't go any higher was because of the possibility of losing various systems on the airplane and making it extremely difficult for the re-entry.
Cleared for takeoff.
On October 3, 1967, Knight piloted his X-15 to a scalding 4,520 miles per hour, or Mach 6.7. To reach nearly 7 times the speed of sound, the X-15's liquid rocket engines guzzled 2,505 gallons of fuel in less than 120 seconds. To conserve fuel, the X-15 was air-launched from underneath the wing of a B-52.
So you could use a B-52 to take it to 45,000 feet where we launched, and that's in essence above most of the atmosphere.
After burning through nearly all its fuel, the X-15 coasted for the remaining 9 or 10 minutes, gliding to a 200-mile-per-hour landing. But flying the X-15 was no joyride.
Each flight was a little scary. We start out at about 1.8 Gs and end up about 4 Gs acceleration. What that does is force you back into the seat. I think we could probably count on one hand the number of flights that went without some sort of an emergency.
This is the code red warning.
Within the Earth's atmosphere, the X-15 was controlled by a tail fin and flaps like a normal aircraft. But in the vacuum of space, the X-15 relied upon a ballistic control system, tiny rockets that controlled horizontal and vertical movement. With power to burn, X-15 pilots were attempting to reach Mach 8. But before the aircraft could do it, NASA and the military terminated the program.
So therefore, there was no reason to take the X-15 to the high Mach numbers.
While the dangers and risks of space travel will never be fully eliminated, the X-15's 199 groundbreaking missions allowed NASA to study the strains of space on astronauts and advance the design of spacecraft to travel more smoothly.
That's why we flew the shuttle the way we did. They initially were going to have landing engines, and we convinced them that you don't need them. You can fly the airplane as we fly the X-15.
For rocketing America's space program toward the future, the X-15 blazes to number 3 on our list. Exploding from a cloud of dust and smoke, it's 20,000 pounds of unbridled power. At number 2 on our countdown, Raging Fury. Measuring 54 feet long and 12 feet wide, it's a wingless jet in automobile guise. But on a hot autumn day in Nevada's Black Rock Desert, the Thrust SSC would join its airborne cousins.
You are clear to roll.
This black missile car would go 763 miles per hour, faster than the speed of sound.
I would draw a comparison between the Thrust's achievement with men first landing on the moon. The first time was the time that was most important and the great challenge.
Challenging the limits of terrestrial speed has been a passion of Richard Noble's for more than 20 years. In 1983, Noble set the land speed record by going 633 miles per hour in Thrust 2. But that only whet his appetite.
What we wanted to do more than anything else was to push on and to build the supersonic car.
To do that, Noble needed to assemble a new engineering team.
My immediate reaction was to say, don't be so stupid, you'd never keep it on the ground, it's ridiculously dangerous, I don't want to be involved in anything so foolhardy.
Ayres was eventually persuaded, as were the other engineers. To reach supersonic speed, engineers equipped the Thrust with 2 Phantom jet fighter engines. Each engine is capable of producing 22,000 pounds of thrust, or around 55,000 horsepower. That means one engine is the equivalent of 131 Porsche 911s with turbo power. A crucial feature of the engine is its afterburning turbofans. The system works by funneling exhaust from the engine into an afterburner where it's mixed with the fuel and ignited.
This means that the faster the car goes, the more power you get from the engine.
Generating speed, however, wasn't the problem. Their main concern was designing a car that wouldn't flip over.
The aerodynamic forces on this car are so great that if the nose lifted up at all, it would accelerate upwards at something like 30 Gs, and that would just completely destroy the car and kill the driver.
To solve the problem, the titanium body of the Thrust is weighted heavily towards the front. But while shifting the thrust weight forward improved the car's stability, it made the front wheels difficult to steer. The chief engineer came up with a gutsy plan.
I suggested to Richard and to Ron that my solution was to steer the rear wheels instead.
To drive the Thrust, Noble selected Andy Green, a former fighter pilot who had logged more than 1,000 hours in high-speed planes, such as the Phantom fighter jet.
All my previous experience has been in other twin-jet supersonic vehicles, namely jet fighters for the Royal Air Force. And arguably that is probably better training for driving something of that power and that performance.
With a driver in tow, Noble and his crew headed to Nevada's Black Rock Desert, where they toiled for 40 days. going through a grueling 31 record attempts. The bruising speed runs would take a toll on the thrust.
Heat damage from the engines and the vibration damage was causing big problems at the back end. Rivets were starting to lift, there were cracks appearing in the titanium and so on, but we decided to press on to the bitter end.
She's rolling.
Run number 32 would prove to be the charm. October 15th, 1997, the Thrust SSC would dramatically smash the sound barrier, reaching a searing 763 miles per hour.
This is the first car ever through the sound barrier on land. And nobody can take that away from us.
For creating the sonic boom heard round the world, the Thrust SSC takes the number 2 spot on our list. Coming up, the King of Kings, the undisputed champion of speed. We're back with our countdown of the ultimate speed machines. We've seen machines that literally make a streaking bullet seem slow, and machines that can travel to the edge of space and back faster than you can brew a pot of coffee. But now it's time to reveal our ultimate merchant of speed. Rocketing in at number 1, a hypersonic experiment in life and death. Amidst the dust and dirt of a New Mexico desert lies a seemingly endless runway. The ultimate proving ground, the 10-mile track is the scene of hypersonic experiments that blow the imagination. At 8 times the speed of sound, the rocket sleds at Holloman Air Force Base are the fastest land vehicles ever to shoot across the ground.
Currently, we hold the world land speed record with our rocket sleds. We have achieved 8,974 feet per second, or 6,122 miles an hour.
If they were cars, you could drive a rocket sled round trip from Los Angeles to New York in 27 minutes. The rocket sled stayed on the track by wrapping a steel slipper around a steel railing.
You can see how the lips on the bottom actually hold the slipper onto the rail.
Once attached to the rail, a series of rocket motors, producing as much as 200,000 pounds of thrust, are sequentially fired. Each rocket increases the velocity of the sled until the desired speed is reached.
We have recently developed a new rocket motor called the Super Roadrunner that generates 200,000 pounds of thrust in 1.3 seconds. And so the objective is to try to get to the highest speed you can possibly do in the shortest amount of time.
At a fraction of the cost of using real planes, the military uses rocket sleds to test everything from missile guidance systems to measuring their power during high-speed impacts. The sleds can even simulate emergency situations a jet fighter pilot would encounter in combat, which, remarkably, is where the program began.
Originally, the rocket sled test track was built to determine the tolerance of humans to accelerations that they would experience during ejection seats from aircraft, or during flight, or during launch during the space program.
On December 10, 1954, Colonel John Paul Stapp became the first and only man to approach the speed of sound in a rocket sled. The tests were necessary to determine whether a pilot could survive ejection at Mach speed, a crucial question for supersonic jet fighters. Strapped in the rocket sled's sonic wind, Stapp was hurled to an incredible 632 miles an hour in 5 seconds. Coming to a dead stop 1.25 seconds later, pressure's 40 times the pull of gravity slams Stapp forward into his seat.
When the deceleration rates are 40 times that of gravity, tissues are torn from the bone, and this is where fatal injuries can occur.
Stapp walked away from the sled with bones intact, but the shock of deceleration left him with 2 black eyes and temporary blindness. Nonetheless, the sonic wind experiment was a success, proving humans could survive extreme G-forces and earning Stapp the title, fastest man alive. To date, rocket sleds have performed over 10,500 missions, helping the military develop everything from better aircraft seats to more lethal missiles.
A rocket sled is an ultimate speed machine because it is the fastest ground vehicle in the world.
For blasting past anything on the ground, rocket sleds top our list at number 1. You just witnessed 10 of the wickedest speed machines to ever tear up the earth and rip across the sky. A speed machine can assume any size or shape, but old or new, big or small, they all have one thing in common. If you blink, you'll miss them.